VO01 before dawn's first blush, the cobblestones still cling to the night's cool breath. A lone rooster's call unzips the silence, and faint torch glow flickers along the narrow alley that will soon swell into the marketplace's beating. HEARTVOO to listen. Somewhere behind a shuttered loft, the baker turns his first dough. The rhythmic thud stretch, fold, and slap echoes like a distant drum roll announcing the day. A curl of warm yeast fills the air, mingling with the sharper note of kindling. Catching flame, VO03 you walk slowly, heel then toe, letting every step click against the worn stones as if testing the street's memory. Each groove beneath your boot was carved by centuries of footfall. Merchants, pilgrims, thieves, and lovers, all leaving faint signatures in limestone.vo. For the city gate creaks wide. Guards in quilted gambesons raise their lanterns, but their eyelids droop. Night duty is a tedious watch, and you pass with a nod. Beyond them, the market square slumbers under a low mist, stalls appearing as ghost-white tents pitched by invisible. HANDSVO05 notice the quiet choreography of setup. A cooper rolls a half-finished barrel, its iron hoops clinking. Two sisters unfurl crimson cloth across their stall, letting it billow before pinning the corners with iron shears. From an oak wagon, crates thud to earth in a steady beat. Apples, quince, and late-season pears bruised gold. VO06, a church bell tolls prime, one clear bronze note, then 7 more each, rippling outward like rings on still water, nudging townsfolk. From dreams to duty, the damp hush thins. Voices begin, soft and tentative, as if words must stretch after a night of sleep. VO07, fresh eels. Croaks an elderly fisher whose boat lies moored in fog-choked river shallows. He lifts a basket. Silver forms writhe and glisten. Nearby, his granddaughter arranges river reeds into simple plated mats for pennies apiece. Her braid swings as she works, catching an ember of sunrise now, sneaking over tiled roofs. VO08 across the square. The potter's wheel spins, pedal pumping like a heartbeat. Clay rises beneath calloused palms, first a wobbling cylinder, then a tapered jug. The potter hums an old work song, half prayer, half lullaby to the clay, promising it fire, glaze, and useful life. VO09 breathe deeply. Smell tanned leather oils, smoke, and the musk of cured hide. The cordwainer strings, boots, and belts on a crosspole. He tests a buckle, snaps it twice, and smiles with craftsman's pride. Downwind, the pungent tents of sheep's cheese cuts. Through sweet notes of honey cakes, cooling on reed racks, .vo 10 children race in barefoot. Red-cheeked, trading gossip about whose rooster crowed first. They zigzag between carts, imagining themselves knights on urgent quests. A mother calls after them, voice both stern and fond, holding a sleepy baby tied in a sling of faded linen. VO11 now the sun has cleared the chimney line, brushing orange across slate rooftops. Shadows retreat into cracks. Colors awaken indigo, dye saffron thread, verdigris copper pitchers that glow like bottled sea fire. Your pace slows further, matching the square's gradual ascent into full bustle. VO12. A troop of minstrels arrives. Bells stitch to their boots. Lute strings twang, a shawm yawns its reedy cry, and someone taps a frame drum. Coins clink into an upturned hat even before the first melody finishes. A tune about a wayward sailor and a mischievous mermaid who stole his heart and his boots. VO 13. The storyteller claims a corner, cloak swirling like theatrical curtains. With a flick of his wrist, he tosses walnut shells and a polished pebble, weaving a gamester's trick into a cautionary tale about greed. Crowds gather, eyes bright, pockets guarded. VO14 past the fountain, its cherub worn faceless by Timon. Herbalist grinds dried lavender and rosemary beneath a granite pestle. She murmurs properties of each leaf, calms the spirit, quickens thought, wards the unseen. A passing soldier pauses, purchases a pouch, and tucks it inside his jerkin as though armor against darker fears. VO15 trumpets, blare short, decisive. The town crier strides forth in green liveries trimmed with brass buttons. He unrolls a parchment sealed with crimson wax. By order of his lordship, he proclaims, voice pitching above market din, tax on imported fustian shall rise by 1 penny per yard come Michaelmas. A collective groan follows, then muttered calculations, clothiers and tailors counting losses before they're sown. VO16 move toward the spice merchant. His table is a painter's palette, scarlet saffron strands, peppercorn moons, pyramids. Of cumin, he lifts a wooden spoon of cinnamon, lets it trickle like rust-red sand, and offers you a pinch. It prickles tongue and memory alike, hinting at caravans beyond deserts, towns beyond maps. VO17 across from him, the falconer stands regal, glove extended. A peregrini perches sleek slate wings, eyes as gold as coin, with practiced grace. The falconer loosens the jesses, the bird launches arcs above rooftops, then returns to land silent except for the whisper of feathers against air. VO18, it's near midday now. Heat stirs the smell of horsehair and hay. A groom leads a dray horse to the trough, muscles rippling beneath dappled coat. Children cease play to marvel, daring to stroke its flank where sunlight paints a moving mosaic. VO19 from the tavern. Stall ale sloshes into pewter mugs. Foam crowns each pour. Merriment follows. Two travellers toast to good roads and better company, their accents marking distant counties. One unrolls a crude map and asks the brewer for the safest pass. Through the hills, he points with a sud-soaked thumb. Avoid the north route. Wolves have grown bold. VO20, the scribe's booth, smells of oak gall ink. He sharpens a quill, then bends over parchment to copy a love poem commissioned by a shy blacksmith. Each letter loops delicate, belying the hammer-armed man pacing outside, rehearsing how he'll present so fine a verse to the baker's daughter. VO21, somewhere a goat bleats. A juggler answers with artful toss of 3 apples, then 4. An appreciative murmur lifts. Coins land in his cup, and he bows low, nearly nose to dirt, before flipping upright like a springing hare. VO22, you weave among stalls, devoted to small magics, a bone dice fortune teller, a glass blower coaxing molten orbs, a fringe of amulets, each promising protection from heartbreak, toothache, or storms. For a copper, the fortune teller rolls your future. For a silver, she vows to roll twice and ignore the darker omen. VO23, mid-square. An argument flares between a wool merchant and a shepherd over fleece weight, tempers fraying like unspun yarn, a reeve interbanus ledger in hand, ready to weigh the bales and the truth alike. Voices clash then quiet as numbers settle, grievances sharper than blades. VO24, you pause at a trestle table laden with illuminated manuscripts. Their pages shimmer, lapis lazuli skies, gilt halos, the The monk scribe explains that each book takes a winter of candlelit nights, fingertips forever stained blue and gold. You trace a vine scroll, border careful, reverent feeling the past breathe. Beneath VELLUM.VO 25, the bell rings, sext. Sunlight crowns the cathedral's spire, and heat shimmers like glass above the cobbles. Vendors lift wide-brimmed hats, dab foreheads, and the scent of roasted capon drifts from an iron spit, fat sizzling into fire, hissing like distant surf on a rocky coast. VO26 lunch crowds surge. Hands exchange coins for bread trenchers brimming, with pottage, parsnip, cabbage, and the salty kiss of bacon. You taste, and the warmth settles low, comforting as a hearth in midwinter, while market sounds swell, a braided braid of laughter, bartering, and hoofbeats. VO27 at the squares. Edge, a barber surgeon raises his flag red, and white stripes, spiraling like captured wind. Curious onlookers gather as he brandishes gleaming shears, offers leeching for fevers, tooth-pulling for aches, and haircuts for vanity. A braver soul mounts the stool. The crowd winces in shared empathy. VO28 beyond him, a weaver displays tapestries, alive with huntsmen, stags, and shimmering fountains. She strokes the warp, explaining how moonlit dye fixes deeper into wool, and how patience weaves silence into the fabric so it hangs heavy with untold stories. VO29, now clouds roll from the west, folds of pewter against the sky. A hush. The market senses approaching rain the way sparrows know twilight. Merchants glance upward. Buyers quicken decisions. VO30, the first drop, lands soft on a drum, loud in memory, then another. Sunlight winks out. Canvas awnings snap tight. Gutters gurgle, yet business does not cease, it adapts. Stalls crane closer, strangers share shelter and stories. You stand beneath a cooper's tarp, breathing in damp wood and the ozone scent of summer rain. VO31, the rain slows to a whisper, then stops altogether like a troop of fiddlers putting down their bows mid-tune. Water drips from tiled eaves in rhythm, pooling in ruts between stones. The market exhales as though holding its breath. No. LONGERVO 32, steam rises from warm cobbles. You step around puddles reflecting a patchwork sky, clouds parting to reveal slivers of blue. Everything glistens. Baskets bead with droplets, brass buttons shine, and the air carries a clearer scent: wet herbs, damp linen, and the faint, sweet trace of roasted nuts. Vote 33 voices resume, louder now. The storm has softened tempers, drawn people closer. A trader shares dried dates with a competing vendor. A mother lifts her child into a drier nook, both laughing as they shake off water like ducks. VO34, some stalls have closed, their owners deciding the rain had spoken their closing bell, but others resilient, opportunistic, draw the crowd anew. A puppet show begins beneath a waxed cloth canopy. Painted faces dance, sticks clack, and children gasp at a tale of a brave miller and a talking fox. VO 35, a baker slices still warm loaves, their crusts crackling from the storm's embrace. He offers samples, crusty rye, nutty barley, and a honeyed oatcake baked for saints' feast days. You take a piece, it crumbles on your tongue, grounding you in the comfort of grain and hearth. VO 36, the blacksmith, previously hidden in the forge beyond the alley, now rolls his cart into view. It holds horseshoes, door latches, and delicate iron roses forged for lovers and nobles. His hands are blackened, his eyes bright with fire's reflection. Sparks were his companions, while the rain drummed his roof. Vo 37, a young noblewoman, flanked by maids, strolls through the stalls. Her gown is embroidered with pearls that catch the light like tiny moons. She pauses at a silversmith's tent, where rings and brooches lie like treasure washed ashore. Her finger rests on a moonstone pendant, and the merchant bows with rehearsed grace. Vote 38, a pack of pilgrims arrives, dustier than the storm itself. They carry staffs and wear badges of saints' shells, keys, and painted cloth. One of them speaks of the shrine they left 3 days past. Another asks where to find boiled eggs and ale. Their presence weaves distant lands into the day's tapestry. 39, in a shaded corner, the town's physician arranges his tools with fastidious care. Scalpels, ointments, vials of poppy syrup. He leans over a patient, an old farmer with a bandaged hand, murmuring advice about wound care. As a curious child watches with wide eyes and imagined futures. VO 40, the day edges toward late afternoon. Shadows lengthen, stretching across the square like sleeping cats. The candlemaker begins preparing his wares for nightfall. Tapers, fat beeswax columns, and rushlights dipped fresh from a kettle. The scent is rich sun-warmed wax and green rushes. VO 41, a priest in coarse robes, blesses a beggar's coin bowl. He offers no sermon, only presence. The beggar nods, touched not by the coin, but the kindness. Nearby, an older merchant slips a small loaf beside the bowl and hurries on. Unnoticed. VO 42, you stop near a cart of musical instruments. A dulcimer is tuned by a blind man, whose hands know string and timbre better than sight. He hums as he works, and a tune trickles forth, simple, soft, like a lullaby whispered by the earth itself. VO 43, 2 young lovers walk the square hand in hand. Their eyes say more than words, shy glances, brief brushes of shoulders, smiles stolen behind hands. They pause at a booth of dried flowers and purchase a bundle of lavender, as if bottling the day's peace. VO 44, the cloth merchants begin folding bolts of fabric. Wools dyed deep blue and russet, linen in raw cream, silk so fine it ripples like breath. As they work, they gossip of a wedding soon to come, a merchant's misbehaving son, and a hooded stranger who paid in foreign coin. VO 45, a falcon cries again overhead, this time free. You catch its silhouette crossing the amber sky, a mark of wildness above this human hive. For a moment the crowd watches together, reminded of air and height and hunger that exists beyond markets. VO 46, an old woman sells charms at a table near the well. Beads carved from cherry pits, ashwood circles, tiny cloth pouches tied shut. With red string, she speaks of dreams and warding off sickness. A soldier laughs at her claims, but buys one anyway, slipping it into his satchel with quiet care. VO 47, the cooper packs up, stacking barrels with smooth efficiency. He wipes sweat and rain from his brow, mutters thanks to no one and everyone, and whistles a song older than the town itself. His dog trails him, tail wagging, tongue lolling. VO 48, the town watch passes, 2 by 2. Halberds gleam, boots thud, but their faces are relaxed. They've made few arrests today. They nod to the tavern maidens, cast a glance toward the coin gamblers, and make a note of the late-staying vendors. VO 49, in a corner where the light still lingers. An artist sketches a scene of the day charcoal on rough parchment. Children laughing, banners swaying, a man asleep under a cart. He draws quickly, with reverence, as if the market were vanishing before his eyes. Vo 50, the bell tolls none. A deeper stillness arrives. The square doesn't empty, but it settles. Evening is on the horizon, and the market knows. A vendor sings a lullaby as she closes her stall, and even the pigeons coo softly from the rooftops. BO 51, smoke curls from chimney pots. The scent of roasting roots and stewing game wafts from nearby homes and taverns. Hunger draws people inward. Noun, the hunger of commerce, but of home, hearth, and human need. Vo 52, you cross the square one last time. It's quieter now. A fiddler plays alone by the fountain, notes like footsteps fading into dusk. A few lanterns are lit, their amber glow pooling on slick stones. VO 53, the storyteller. His voice hoarse, tells one last tale to no one and everyone about. A baker's apprentice who outwitted a corrupt lord. The story lingers in the air like the final light of day. VO 54, the minstrels depart. Boots tapping rhythm on whetstone. One carries a goatskin drum. Another, a satchel of coins, lighter than expected, but filled with memories richer than gold. VO 55, a final purchase. A carved spoon from a woodworker who says little but whose smile is warm. You take it with care, knowing it will remind you of this day whenever it stirs a pot or scoops a taste. VO 56, you turn back toward the alley that brought you in. The cobbles there are darker now, edged with shadows. Footsteps echo, yours, or those who walked before. VO 57, behind you, the square dims. Torches flicker, doors close with finality. The market sleeps, again its heart slowing but not silent. Tomorrow it will beat anew. VO 58, as you pass the gate, the guards nod once more. One yawns, another watches the sky. Stars begin to appear, tiny silver coins scattered across velvet. VO 59, your footsteps resume, softer now. The cobblestones beneath. You hold every moment. Laughter, barter, rain, flame, tale, song. Silence. VO 60, and so ends your slow stroll through a medieval market, day where time walks beside you, cloaked not in dust, but in the vivid breath of life itself. VO 61, night does not fall in haste. It descends gently, like a woolen cloak laid across the shoulders of the town. Lamps are lit one by one, their flames trembling in bowls of oil or guttering from dipped tallow. Each spark adds a thread to the weave of the dark. VO 62, a bell rings for vespers. Its tone is softer now round, melodrawing faithful toward the chapel. Their sandals and boots scuff the worn stone path in a slow, humble procession. You follow behind for a time, not for prayer, but for stillness. VO 63, inside the church. Candles flicker along the nave. Soot shadows dance upon saints carved in oak. A monk's voice chants low Latin verses, each syllable an echo of devotion older than memory. You stand at the back, arms folded, feeling the hush ripple across time. VO 64, back in the square. The market is now skeletal. Booths are bare, carts loaded, canvas awnings folded like sleeping birds' wings. Still, a few linger. A tavern singer, tuning her lute. A watchman leaning on his spear. Two lovers stealing one final moment by the fountain. VO 65, you pause again by the well. Its stone rim is damp, cool beneath your fingers. The water inside reflects, not your face, but a flicker of torchlight and the suggestion of stars. A coin lies at the bottom, its wish long since forgotten. Vo 66 on the wind comes the scent of wood smoke, cinnamon, and roasted chestnuts. You follow it toward the tavern, where laughter leaks through the cracks in the shutters and a familiar jig thumps from drum and pipe. Vo 67 inside. Warmth greets you like an old friend. Cloaks hang heavy on hooks. Tankards clink. A dog lies beneath. A bench, tail thumping with each stomped beat of the music. You take a seat near the fire, beside a weathered knight sipping cider, lost in thought. Vo 68, the innkeeper nods at you, no words needed. A trencher arrives, stew thick with barley and venison, a heel of bread, a wedge of cheese that still smells of the pasture. You eat slowly, reverently, each bite a comfort deeper than language. Vo 69 across the room, a young man recites a poem. To a patient girl, he stumbles, reddens, then smiles. She doesn't laugh, she waits. The moment blooms between them, small and real, like a candle that refuses to flicker out. Vo 70 overhead, the rafters groan as someone climbs to their bed. You realize how much of the day remains with you not, just the scent of rain in wool. But the rhythm of the market itself, the rise and fall of sound, of exchange, of human breath in shared space. Vo 71, outside again, the sky is clear. Stars shimmer in constellations, ancient and unchanged. Orion rises above the rooftops. A fox crosses the alley ahead, vanishing into shadow. Your boots echo softly, step, less about where you're going, more about where you've been. Vo 72. You take the long route back, past shuttered windows where candlelight still pulses behind drawn cloth. A weaver sings softly to herself. A child cries and is comforted. The town exhales. Vo 73 behind the tavern. A stable boy brushes down a mare, whispering stories of jousts and dragons into her patient ears. She stamps once, as if humoring the fantasy. Vo 74, you stop where the falconer had stood. His perch is empty now, but feathers remain small, silver-tipped, trembling in the breeze. You pocket one, a memento not of wings, but of wonder. Vo 75, near the fountain, a faded ribbon flutters from a post, tied perhaps in promise or farewell. It sways like it remembers. Vo 76, in the square's center, silence reigns, yet within it lingers so much, the cadence of barter, the crack of loaves breaking, the whisper of silk, the growl of a haggling farmer, the laugh of a child who dropped her apple and found it whole again. Vo 77, this silence is not absence. It's memory resting. Vo 78, and in your own memory. The day is still bright, the hand that passed you a spoon, the eyes that dared a smile, the story that made you forget time. They nestle beside the steps you took, the faces you passed, the goods you didn't buy but can still describe in perfect detail. Vo 79 past the square now. You walk down the old merchant's road. A sign creaks over, head paint, flaking, iron rusted, a lantern swings beside it. Your shadow walks with you, taller in the moonlight, as if even it must stretch to carry all you've gathered. Vo 80, beyond the walls, crickets sing, an owl calls. Once, twice, the fields lie still beneath silver. Vo 81, and you, traveller, leave the market behind, but not the world it opened. The medieval day may end, but its breath lingers, in your bones, in your pace, in the tilt of your ear toward music, toward language, toward echo. Vo 82, the cobblestones grow distant behind you now, but they remember, they always do. They wait for new footsteps, fresh stories, another market day to unfold. VO83, so sleep now, wrapped in wool and memory, beneath beams soaked in age and peace. Let the market return behind your eyelids, sounds and smells, laughter and life. Let the past breathe quietly through you. VO84, and when morning comes again, who's to say what time you'll wake in? Perhaps it will be today, perhaps it will be then, in a place where cobblestones speak and all footsteps are welcome. VO85, thus ends our slow stroll through a medieval market day. VO86, until next time, when the bells ring, when the spices bloom, when the stories stir again, we'll meet once more on ancient stone.